The way we enter the world carries with it an inherent bias towards an impression that change has finished and history has been settled. We're surrounded by big people and dynasties who have been in place for decades, even perhaps centuries. We're constantly told why things are the way they are and are encouraged to accept that reality is not made according to our wishes. We come to trust that human beings have fully mapped the range of the possible. If something hasn't happened, it's either because it can't happen or it shouldn't. However, when we study history, we come to realize that change appears constant. New continents are discovered, alternative ways of governing nations are pioneered, ideas of how to dress and whom to worship are transformed, and not long ago we were free to stroll the streets of the city, but now we are forced to stay at home and wear our masks, what we now call as the new normal. With the changing world, we are all called to be adaptive and exhibit the different values of 21st century learners and leaders. We should be critical thinkers and creative, collaborative, and communicative people to change the world. So can we change the world? And what does it take to become an effective leader? Are we fit to set off in being leaders of change? Let's talk about this. Hey there! Welcome to the second episode of Ignatian Talks with IC2. Today, we will be talking about the heroic leadership of the Jesuits and one of its pillars, ingenuity.
As an Atenean, we all want to know the secrets of Jesuit leadership, how the Jesuits prospered and how they managed to continue prospering. The Jesuits abandoned an ostentatious style of leadership and focused instead on the four values that are the real substance of leadership, which is self-awareness, ingenuity, love, and heroism. Saint Ignatius of Loyola and his followers trained leaders who understood their strengths, their weaknesses, and their values, and had a vision of the world, embraced change, and adapted themselves to a changing world, treated others with love and with a positive attitude, and strengthened themselves by providing them with heroic ambitions. Heroic leadership is the pinnacle of leadership, carried out by a changed and learned leader seeking to transform and enlighten others. As Chris Loney points out in his book of Heroic Leadership, the first step towards heroic leadership is to discover who you are, what you want, and what you are defending. For Loney, ingenuity means destroying all provincialism, fear of the unknown, attachment to status and possessions, prejudices, and aversion to risk. Ingenuity means to confidently innovate and adapt to a changing world. Anchored by non-negotiable principles and values, they cultivate the indifference that allows them to adapt confidently.
According to Saint Ignatius of Loyola, to become an ingenious, self-aware leader, one must live with one foot raised. This metaphor means allowing oneself to move forward into new knowledge and understanding the new world of various culture with the courage in taking a step forward to inflict change. This entails embodying indifference, which is letting go of the inordinates and inessential things. Manifesting indifference allows us to explore and innovate new things that embraces a changing world.
To cultivate ingenuity means breaking the traditional norms, stereotypes, and systems. The attitude of consistently utilizing what we used to do will hinder us from exploring new ways, ideas, and solutions. Also, fearing of discovering different and unknown ways will stop us from learning creative ideas and makes it difficult for us to adapt to this new world.
As the world constantly changes, ingenuity is very important because not only it gives us the freedom to innovate, but it also helps us have a constant goal for the future since there are things that are yet to be discovered. The whole world will become our house. Though, literally, the world will provide us with our basic necessities, thus making the whole world our place of habitation. Making the world our house basically means becoming open to the changing world, making everywhere we go our home. With the resources of the world that God has blessed us with, we must put these to good use through innovation to fully maximize their purpose and worth.
To be ingenious, it is easier said than done. So, we turn toward Jesuit leaders and follow them by example. Being assigned with various missions, the Jesuit cultivate ingenuity to adapt to new customs to respond effectively to their new assignments. In the Protestants' Reformation, sparked by Martin Luther of the 16th century that aimed to reform the beliefs and practices of the Roman Catholic, the Jesuit exhibited ingenuity through adopting and utilizing creative strategies with speed and urgency. The Jesuit compiled groundbreaking dictionaries of various local languages for the local cultures to understand. Not giving in to the Protestants' threat, the Jesuits spread to educate the truth to many people as possible.
The best example of an ingenious Jesuit is Saint Francis Xavier, such as when he openly accepted the mission to India in such short notice. Without any hesitance, he was prepared to travel the world and ready in the pursuit of a new opportunity. Furthermore, Saint Francis utilized new approaches and adapted to new cultures, languages, and customs for him to communicate with the different people. Saint Francis Xavier indeed lived his life with ingenuity, always ready to respond to new opportunities.
Other than Jesuit role models, there are also global leaders that we could look up to for their ingenuity, like Nelson Mandela. He was known for his humility, compassion, and good vision in life. As he said, if you talk to a man in a language that he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his own language, that goes to his heart. We can relate to this ingenuity for as a leader effectively communicating to his people. Mandela shows that he easily adapts to different cultures, and as a result, he is capable of fighting against marginalization to change the world.
Inspired by the different leaders, we as a group believe that each one of us can be ingenious as well. One experience in which I applied this principle was way back in high school. I was once the weakest in the class, but because there was this teacher who believed in my capabilities and helped me to adapt to the change, I was able to overcome the fears that kept on hunting me. With that, I learned to see that I myself has the capability to excel and inspire other people.
As for me, I applied ingenuity in the past when I was transferring to the city from a province. Since I need to adapt to the new environment, I step out of my comfort zone by exploring new things. I learned their customs and practices to fit in the society. I also adopted new ways in my lifestyle and detached myself from things that prevented me in adapting.
The COVID-19 pandemic interrupted our lives and introduced us to a new normal. Until today, people are still adjusting to these changes. Through applying ingenuity, people innovated ways to survive in this global crisis. On the aspect of education, we credit our teachers and mentors for their ingenious initiatives to teach in a new learning platform despite the different problems they face. In the workplace, employees adapted to work from home. However, in order to actually end our fellow Filipinos' agonies, the leaders of our country must exhibit ingenuity by having the sense of urgency to creatively innovate ways to contain the spread of the virus. It is best that at present we become urgently ingenious and work hand in hand to end the additional economical, social, and psychological problems that the coronavirus pandemic brought to our Filipino people.
One of the things that separates confident from diffident people is their approach to history. Broadly speaking, the unconfident believe that history is over, while the confident believe that it's still in the process of being made. One day, possibly by themselves. To be leaders of change, we must grow in constant ingenuity. We should be self-aware and confident that we can overcome anything. We need to be adaptive and flexible enough to fit in the changes of our society. Ingenuity as one of the pillars of heroic leadership demands us and our leaders to be creative and innovative to respond to new problems. Through being open-minded, stepping out of our comfort zones, exploring new things, risking and detaching ourselves from things that hinder us will spark up change in the new world. Though the world is being made and remade at every instant, each and every one of us still has a chance of being an agent of change. And that's the end of our Ignatian Talk. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you in our next one. And always remember to go forth,
Go forth,
Go forth
Go forth
Go forth
and set the world on fire. May God bless us all.